I'll be restoring these retro vintage vinyl dining chairs. And there'll be a few things that I'm doing. For the upholstery area where there's pilling, I'll be trimming it with scissors as well as doing a coating to protect it. For the vinyl that's coming up loose, I'm going to attach that. I'll be restoring the vinyl as well. And then for the body of the piece, I'm going to do some camo. I've already cleaned it to handle any rust issues. So now we're just looking at that part aesthetically. Additionally, I'm going to be trying to handle some mold or mildew remediation issues within the house that I just moved into last week. There had been luxury vinyl plank flooring installed improperly, and then a dog lived in the home who was cared for improperly. And then thirdly, we have one of two side tables that I painted black after coating with concrete. They are incredibly hardy tables, really sturdy. I'm going to post them for sale. Back to the dining chair. In order to improve the upholstery, I'll be just using a pair of scissors to trim where there's pilling. There are a couple other options, a razor blade or an electric razor or something designed specifically for that. Then for the vinyl, where it's coming up, I'm going to be using a very strong glue to glue it down, and then I'll be using vinyl filler where there are these little holes and pinpricks throughout it. I'm not quite sure what they're from, but there are a lot of them, and there are some discoloration issues that I'd like to address and will address during the course of this restoration. And part of what I'm doing during the time that I'm restoring those chairs is this mildew or mold issue is pretty severe in this room, especially where it looks like the dog was most likely confined. I have a water and vinegar solution that's been soaking over and over. I'm going to be spending hours throughout the course of the day trying to resolve this issue and ultimately not succeeding, but not failing entirely. The dog looks like he was kept in this room for the most part, and so he was in the corners going to the bathroom when he had to. Then I'm going to go down to where the outside is. That's the tape is, just so you know, I'm trying to become ADA accessible, but that's a different issue. He tried to get out often as well and had a lot of anxiety chewing. Then you can see the scratches on the glass from where he was trying desperately to get in repeatedly. Hopefully the owner found a better home for him. Time I spent mopping with water and vinegar, I spent thinking about what I might need for the restoration of these two vintage dining chairs. I went to my project room, pulled out a project table with what I think will be the items I'll most likely use, and we'll go from there. Addressing structural issues first, I used a strong glue, a little piece of paper towel to block out any glue that might seep up, and then taped it down as something of clamps. Next is going to come filling these holes with a vinyl filler, but first. Meanwhile, the issues with the flooring have been improving. The water and vinegar over and over and over again mopping has had some success. The tape's also helping me understand ADA compliance. The front door I've had the best success with because that's probably a person, not a dog, that caused the problems. Instantly, I regret saying that because, of course, it was a person that caused the problems. The dog was suffering. So what I did with the chairs, moving on from there, I wanted to show you what I did, and this is a fast-forwarded version. To the right of what you're seeing is me having already applied this vinyl kind of slurry, and then to the left, the action you're watching me take is applying a vinyl product, then adding a little bit of water before I do something of a vinyl slurry. I don't even know if that's an expression. In concrete, if you add water to concrete and then do this, it's called a slurry. One of the issues in concrete that comes up with it is that it's not structurally as sound that more water you add. I admittedly don't know what adding water to vinyl filler creates as far as issues. Thus far, it hasn't created any for me. I may try to contact the company to get a better idea. This can't be their recommended use because who's ever done this? I haven't seen it personally. It's not like I'm... Anyway, I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I know that it looks really good, it feels good, and after days of use, I'm very satisfied with the results. So I want to contact the company to see how they feel about this plan, and I do like the way it looks. However, I also think with both of the bottom and the top having so much going on, it's pretty, there's a clash there. So I'm going to want to make some changes, but the overall effect I thought looked really great, and so I wanted to show you what I did. It's just put the vinyl filler on, add some water, and treat it like a slurry. Then the effect that I go for, I ended up using my hands to create, and it was fun. I also want to note that when it's wet, it looks very different. And so if you're doing this, you can see these two look very different. They dry the same, and you'll want to keep that in mind if you try it. Despite a lot of effort on my part to resolve this issue with the flooring, the issue is bigger than I can handle, but I'm a tenant, not an owner. The concrete coated tables that I've posted for sale are already getting quite a bit of attention online, which is promising. The new photos apparently are better. It's the same product. Here's the top of one. You'll see the top of the other in a second. They're incredibly durable, and I'm really proud of the way they turned out, even though they're taking a while to sell. Back to the chairs, I've decided to use markers that are typically used for wood to kind of camouflage where there are some imperfections in this. As I said, I cleaned it well, and so rust isn't a major issue. I'm also going to be doing a top coat, but disguising where there are minor blemishes is something that I'm using these markers for. It's essentially a paint/stain in a marker, and it comes in various colors. I found them to be useful in a lot of different ways. Having done that, I decided the front door is successful enough, and I'm going to move on to the chairs again. The pattern created looked interesting, but I want it to be more like the original. So what I'm doing here is taking a damp cloth and wiping back the vinyl that has dried, the vinyl filler. If this were wood, which I think is a good comparison in a lot of ways, it'd be the equivalent of adding a wood filler and then going in and sanding with a fine grit so you can get it flush with the surface. That's the goal that I have here, and after that I'll be dyeing it to match the vinyl more closely. Let's see how that goes. The way that it looks with just the vinyl on its own could be cool, but there's a lot of clashing of these two patterns, and so I want to dye it to match more like the original instead of stick with the way it is. I'm going to use Restore Finish, not the product's intended use as far as I know. Maybe I could contact Howard's and see if they think it works well for that. I don't know. Odie's oil will be what I protect it with, and nothing else could go wrong. My man said he's on the way, and I've got a mess here, and I've got about 20 minutes, so I am gonna pause this project. My life partner's schedule is up in the air, so I need to adjust as needed, but I want to show you. We have Restore Finish on the right and just the vinyl filler alone on the left. It looks so beautiful, and it feels really good to the touch too. Odie's oil will be the next thing that I use to protect it all. The Odie's oil is on this piece, and then on the right, we only have Restore Finish. Both look really beautiful, and the Odie's oil still needs to be buffed off, so it'll look a little less shiny soon. But both sides are darling pieces. The Restore Finish did a really great job. I admittedly don't know how well it would be protected without a protective coating over top. A lot of this is experimental. I'm using Odie's oil on the upholstery as well, and so much of this is experimental. I look forward to using these pieces so that I have a better understanding of how well this worked. So the side with Odie's oil here buffed out is less shiny than the side with Restore Finish, and I am under the assumption the side with Odie's oil would last longer because it has Odie's oil, and Restore Finish is really not designed for this. Maybe I should contact them. They can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm wrong often. But both pieces have been beautifully restored. The minor cosmetic issues that remain are just that, very minor. And so I'm incredibly impressed with the products. Oh yeah, the concrete tables. Here's a little clip that I posted to show them ready to go into someone's home. And like I said, they're getting good views, so that's nice. After all that, I decided that these pieces are ready to post. They're darling vintage retro diner chairs that are ready for many years of use. I took recordings and pictures of the bodies showing where there are minor imperfections, but I think both of these chairs are ready for another 40, 50 years, however old they were. Then I did a soapy hot water mop of the whole house and plan to contact the property management company because this is beyond me and not my problem.